Abrar, and let us begin with our news. First news. When John Podesta left his job as an advisor to President Barack Obama nearly a decade ago, he was confident that hundreds of miles of new power transmission lines were coming to the Southwest, expanding the reach of clean energy throughout the region. So, Podesta was shocked to learn last year, as he re-entered the federal government to work on climate issues for President Joe Biden, that the lines had never been built. They still have not even received final regulatory approval. These things get stuck and they don't get unstuck, Podesta said in an interview with the Associated Press. Podesta is now the point person for untangling one of Biden's most vexing challenges as he pursues ambitious reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. If the president cannot streamline the permitting process of power plants, transmission lines, and other projects, the country is unlikely to have the infrastructure needed for a future powered by carbon-free electricity. Next news. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis urged the nation to show Daniel Penny that America's got his back. Former United Nations Ambassador Nikki Haley called for New York's governor to pardon Penny, and biotech entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy donated $10,000 to his legal defense fund. Republican presidential hopefuls have lined up to support Penny, a 24-year-old U.S. Marine veteran who was caught on video pinning an agitated fellow subway passenger in New York City to the floor in a chokehold. The passenger, 30-year-old Jordan Neely, later died from compression of the neck. According to the medical examiner, Penny has been charged with manslaughter. His attorneys say he acted in self-defense. He already became a hero to many Republicans who have trumpeted Penny as a good Samaritan, moving to protect others in a Democrat-led city that say is unsafe, even though criminal justice experts say current crime levels are more comparable to where New York was a decade ago, when people frequently lauded it as America's safest big city. Next news. Latoma Hoff stopped at the red-draped table on her way to Dean's Classic Car Museum to jot her contract information on a sign-up sheet to hear more about Ron DeSantis. The 75-year-old retired speech pathologist has driven an hour to hear the Florida governor speak in Northwest Iowa last Saturday. She was one of the 600 Iowa Republicans who filed into the exhibit hall and passed the display's brochures about DeSantis and cards to sign pledging support for him in next year's Republican presidential caucuses. The display, with all the earmarks of the presidential campaign, was the work of Never Back Down, a super political action committee promoting DeSantis while he moves toward a 2024 bid. It was also an early glimpse of how this group, able to receive unlimited sums for wealthy donors, unlike a presidential campaign, plans to build a network of supporters necessary to compete in the caucuses. Next news. Aaron and Lacey Jennings' roots in Arkansas run deep. They've spent their entire lives there, attended the flagship state university, and are raising a family. So they are heartbroken at the prospect of perhaps having to move to one of an ever-dwindling number of states where gender-affirming health care for their transgender teenage daughter, Sabrina, is not threatened. We were like, okay, if we can just get Sabrina to 18, we can put all this horrible stuff behind us, Aaron Jennings said. And unfortunately, that's not been the case, as you've seen a proliferation of an anti-trans legislation here in Arkansas and across the country. At least 17 states have enacted laws restricting or banning gender affirming care for transgender minors, though judges have temporarily blocked their enforcement in some, including Arkansas. An Associated Press analysis found that often those bills sprang not from grassroots or constituent demand, but from the pens of a handful of conservative interest groups. A short break from the daily English news of Millennium News 24/7. Stay tuned, and I will be back with you, Azrina Brar.
This world continuously revolving around various events. Every minute, every second, something is happening somewhere around the globe, and you want to get connected to that event or to that specific moment. Here we come, Millennium News Hour, to get you connected with top USA and international trending news, which includes local news, political news, world news, business news, health and science related news, entertainment news, sports news, and so on. Millennium News 24 is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV, and Apple TV. And also in all European countries and Australia, available with Sky Network, Worldwide Jago TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network, and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with Millennium News Hour to get the world news on your fist.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Millennium News 24/7 Politics News Update. I am with you again, Azrina Brar, and let us resume with our news. Former U.S. Representative Robert Marion Barry, an Arkansas Democrat who served 7 terms in Congress and was known for blunt rhetoric and his advocacy for farmers and elderly residents, has died. He was 80. Barry, who was known as Marion, died Friday, his family confirmed in a statement Saturday. A cause of death was not provided. With his signature, quick wit, and way with words, he lived his life in service to others, said Barry's son, Mitch. He truly believed that the role of government was to help people, and it was a charge he took very seriously. He was generous with his time and talents, as his dozens of mentees can attest. Barry was first elected to Congress in 1996 but decided against re-election in 2010 for health reasons. He underwent surgery to remove a brain tumor in July 2011. Next news. President Joe Biden tried to reassure world leaders on Saturday that the United States would not default as he consulted with the heads of Australia, Japan, and India in a meeting of the so-called Quad partnership that had been hastily rescheduled because of the debt limit standoff back in Washington. Hoping to avert an outcome that would rattle the global economy and prove to be a boon to Beijing, Biden opened his 3rd day in Japan at the annual Group of 7 meeting for the world's most powerful democracies with a briefing from his staff on latest fits and starts in talks over how to raise the federal debt limit. The president also squeezed in meetings aimed at challenging China's build-out across the Indo-Pacific. The Quad members originally had planned to meet in Sydney next week, but got together instead on the sidelines of the G7 so Biden could return to Washington earlier on Sunday in hopes of finalizing a deal to increase the U.S. borrowing limit before the government runs out of cash to pay its bills. Next news. Ex-U.S. Representative Mark Walker formally entered next year's race of North Carolina governor on Saturday, saying that he best suited to win the seat that has eluded Republicans for much of the past 3 decades by attracting a diverse set of voters in the closely divided state. Walker, a former Baptist pastor who rode the Tea Party wave to 3 terms in Congress, made the announcement to a crowd of 300 at a church in Kernelsville, If elected, he said he would provide a bulwark to federal policy intrusions, promote educational opportunities and economic freedom, and protect families and children on cultural issues. He said he had a history in both the pulpit and in Congress of building bridges with unaffiliated and Democratic voters. He had been known for his efforts to work with minority groups, particularly on funding historically black colleges. Black supporters were featured prominently at the announcement event. Next news. Leaders of the group of 7 wealthy democracies are joining their counterparts from other countries during their summit in Japan in an effort to expand the G7 sway and to include voices from the so-called Global South. From South America to South Asia, Ukraine to South Pacific, the guests represent a carefully considered choice of countries including big emerging economies like Australia, Brazil, Indonesia, and India, and smaller ones like the Comoros and Cook Islands. Critics accuse the G7 of being an elite club of countries whose relevance as global leaders is being eclipsed by up-and-coming powers. By including leaders of big but less wealthy democracies like India and Brazil, Japan and other G7 countries aim to amplify their consensus on vital issues like the war in Ukraine, China's growing assertiveness, death and development issues, and climate change. A short break from the daily English news of Millennium News 24/7. Stay tuned with me, Azrina Brar.
This world continuously revolving around various events. Every minute, every second, something is happening somewhere around the globe, and you want to get connected to that event or to that specific moment. Here we come, Millennium News Hour, to get you connected with top USA and international trending news, which includes local news, political news, world news, business news, health and science related news, entertainment news, sports news, and so on. Millennium News 24 is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV, and Apple TV, and also in all European countries and Australia, available with Sky Network, Worldwide Jago TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network, and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with Millennium News Hour to get the world news on your fist. This world continuously revolving around various events. Every minute, every second, something is happening somewhere around the globe, and you want to get connected to that event or to that specific moment. Here we come, Millennium News Hour, to get you connected with top USA and international trending news, which includes local news, political news, world news, business news, health and science related news, entertainment news, sports news, and so on. Millennium News 24 is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV, and Apple TV, and also in all European countries and Australia, available with Sky Network, Worldwide Jago TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network, and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with Millennium News Hour to get the world news on your fist.
News 24/7 Politics News Update, and I am back with you, Azrina Brar. Let us resume with our news update. The former chief lobbyist for the San Francisco 49ers has testified that a Silicon Valley city councilman illegally leaked a confidential report criticizing the team's political influence. It was reported on Friday. Rahul Chandak told a criminal grand jury March 21st that Santa Clara City Council member Anthony Becker digitally sent him the report, which was made by a civil grand jury last October. the San Francisco Chronicle reported after reviewing a transcript of his testimony. Prosecutors accused Becker of providing the secret report of Chandok and a local news outlet ahead of its official release and then lying to the grand jury about it. He has pleaded not guilty to one felony count of perjury under oath and a misdemeanor count of willful failure to perform duty. He could face up to 4 years in state prison if convicted. Next news. Japan announced Saturday that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will travel to Japan to join a group of 7 leaders in a session on Ukraine. Zelensky is expected to arrive in Hiroshima, the site of a world's first atomic attack in western Japan, later Saturday. He will join leaders of the G7 wealthy nations at a session on Ukraine on Sunday. He was originally scheduled to join a session online on Friday, but that plan changed after Zelensky expressed a strong wish to participate in person, the Japanese foreign minister said in a statement. Japan had earlier refused to confirm Zelensky's visit and insisted until late Friday night that he would only participate online. Next news. The remains of a U.S. Marine veteran who was missing in Ukraine for more than a year returned to the United States on Friday and were headed to his hometown in eastern North Carolina. A Turkish Airlines plane flying from Istanbul with the remains of retired Marine Captain Grady Kurpasi landed at New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport in early evening. They were loaded into a private jet bound for Wilmington, North Carolina. Kurpasi, a 50-year-old Iraq War veteran, volunteered in February 2022 to help evacuate Ukrainian residents and later fought in the Ukrainian Foreign Legion, according to the Weatherman Foundation, the group that located his remains and repatriated them. He was last seen in April 2022 after investigating the source of some gunfire with fellow volunteers in South Ukraine and was declared dead last month by the U.S. State Department. Next news. Massachusetts U.S. Attorney Rachel Rollins formally resigned Friday after wide-ranging investigations by 2 federal watchdog agencies found she sought to use her position to influence a local election and lied to investigators. In a letter to President Joe Biden obtained by the Associated Press, Rollins thanked the White House for supporting her during her contentious nomination process and said she wishes to the administration the best of luck in the months and years ahead. Her resignation comes 2 days after the release of scathing reports from the Justice Department Inspector General and another watchdog outlined in litany of alleged misconduct by the top federal law enforcement officer in Massachusetts. This was in the Politics News Update on Millennium News 24/7. Log in to get the latest news, all our social networking site, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok is Millennium News 24. Also, our YouTube channel is News Channel M24. Viewers now on both network broadcasting Android and iOS devices, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, also all smart TV platforms. Please enjoy our entertainment and latest news and views. Our Millennium TV apps, Millennium TV USA Android, Millennium News Google, www.millenniumtv.com. Stay with Millennium News. Thank you, and I will be back with you again soon enough. Azrina Brar.